what are we doing here? Like, what's going on? What do you guys want out of this thing? Like, what is the tone? What is the tenor of this promotion right now? And I will say, little by little, I've seen a lot of people start to turn. I've seen a lot of the worm turning a lot on this. This week was the first time I've seen almost, and maybe there's a few people out there, but I saw almost 100% of people saying, like, I don't understand this Adam Cole, Roderick Strong thing. I don't think this is funny at all. And this MJF promo sucked. Like, I didn't see anybody defending this. And that might be we've just, like, ran off every single person that likes this stuff and or whatnot. But I don't know. I've sensed this week a lot of just, like, what are we doing here? Like, what are we actually trying to accomplish with this company right now? Because it feels in a lot of ways like they've kind of lost their way. This week in particular was just so eye-opening to that.
It's a perplexing thing because so much of the rest of the show, I think, is very well focused and going in some positive directions, and feels like it's booked better and than it has been, over the vast majority of the rest of of 2023. But look, MJF is just determined to prove some kind of point, and I don't, it was very obvious when he came into the Wrestle Dream press scrum or whatever you want to call it, that he was gotten to about all of this, because before anybody even asked him a question, he was already defending himself. And I don't know who it was he went after. It may have been Brian Alvarez for some tweet that he saw that called his match a gimmick match. And Brian actually liked the match, but MJF took offense to the fact he called it a gimmick match, and then went into this long diatribe defending his flavor of ice cream.
Right, or that wrestling has lost its way, or we've lost a step or something like that, and now I'm bringing it back, and I'm bringing a new flavor of ice cream or whatever. And it's like, all right, dude, I mean, you're not...
and it's just very telling that before he's even asked a question, that he's already in defense mode. I thought that was very telling. I feel like, and talking about how, and then he did that interview with Ibu from Wrestle Purist, and then buried him on Twitter, lightheartedly buried him, literally moments after his match on the pay-per-view, saying, "Oh, did the crowd not react to me now?" Or something along those lines. He just seems very, very sensitive and gotten to when it comes to this topic, and he's out to prove something. And yeah, the live crowds do respond to this stuff, and yeah, his segments typically do good quarter hours. Are they positioned in the quarter hours that traditionally do well? Yeah, they are. First quarter hour, top of the hour, but do they perform? Yes, they do. You can't take that away. Do I think it's some kind of red hot angle that's now? Look, let's not go crazy with how well that these quarter hours do either. Because it's not like this show is doing 2 million viewers and putting up 0.5s. Okay. The show's basically doing the same numbers it's been doing for the last year or so. It's basically flat to last year, a little down some weeks, little up some weeks, generally down. They're not selling tickets.
Right. Just because your quarter hour is a little bit better than some of the other quarter hours does not mean it's a hot angle. It means it might be.
Here's the thing. It should be. You're the world champion in the hardest pushed angle.
And he's been the champion for a year. I don't think people quite. I know I didn't when someone mentioned, hey, he's about to be the champion for a year, and he's going to he's going to have the longest reign in AEW history very very soon. The guy's been top champion for a year. He's going to pass that very, very shortly. You can judge this guy. You can judge this guy on the merits of what is selling and what is drawing and what the TV is. Like, I know that there were a lot of people push back on that and say, oh, well, no, there's this and there's this and there's this and there's this and there's this. I'm sorry, man. When you're the world champion for a year, I got to see some business move. I mean, I can't just say, well, everything's kind of the same or down slightly. So, yeah, he's been fine. It's not his fault. I mean, the guy's been a champion for a year.
Yeah, forgive me if I'm not throwing bouquets at your nice little quarter hours, which is what they are. This isn't some massive business boom that your dopey little brochacho line, storyline is producing. It's not. You're doing some nice little quarter hours. You're selling some T-shirts. No one's buying tickets to these shows. Pay-per-view business isn't blowing it out the door. I mean, there's other, no one can call this some kind of, people try to say it's a red hot angle, but there's no evidence that it is. But anyway, my point here is he seems a little insecure about it, snapping at people before they even ask him a question, explaining his thought process. And he's out to prove something. I don't know what he's trying to prove, but it's like, Max, all right, man, you proved your point. You proved that you can tell people you're going to do a body slam and then get them to pop for a body slam. You told people that you're going to do a double clothesline and then get them to pop for a double clothesline. You tell people to call somebody a talentless taint and then stick the microphone in the air in sheer desperation to get them to chant it.
How?
But you've proved that they'll chant it.
Right.
Okay?
How bad was him saying, all right, guys, now we're going to do a dueling chant? Like, if you didn't watch the show, he literally said, all right, guys, let's do a dueling chant.
Yeah.
One side will say talentless taint, and then the other one's going to, it's like ass boys or whatever. And it's like, what? That's not, come on, man.
And he knows they're going to do it because he's over.
Yeah.
Right. But it's lazy. It's derivative. It's beneath him. It's uncreative. And now he's kind of on the defensive about it because there's a lot of people who think it's all of the things that I just said, that it's just utter garbage, stinking up the shows. And it's just interesting. He's trying to, I guess, prove some point to the other boys in the back or to fans or to whoever. We tap out. You proved it. You're a fucking genius. You're brilliant. You're a brilliant mind. You are a beautiful mind. You have proven that you can get these Pavlovian responses in the arenas, that you can get people to do sort of this lowest possible level form of crowd response theater in these buildings. You proved it, man. Can we get back to pro wrestling now? Right? You proved your point. You are no doubt the biggest brain in the room. Yeah, an amazing ability to tell people to do something and then they do it. Bravo, sir. But now can we all just move on from this nonsense?
Right. Well, it all goes back. It all goes back to All In, and that's the point that I think all this changed, and for me at least, it was like the inflection point of like, okay, now I don't know what we're doing anymore, because I was under the impression, I'm sure a lot of people were as well, that all this was buddy, chummy. All right, yeah, we're brochachos, double clothesline, body slam, all this sort of stuff was all this wink, nudge stuff that both these guys truly did not like each other and were just faking it in front of each other to try to get to this end point where they were going to go to All In, and Cole MJF let his guard down a little bit and Cole swooped in to get the title shot, or MJF was playing 4D chess and letting this guy let this guy get his guard down so that he could turn on him, and all. That's kind of what we all thought was going to happen here at All In, was, okay, now we're going to finally move on or something. And I remember you saying like, don't be so sure that they got shit ready till December. And I'm thinking there's no way, because the whole story to me was that, and that was in canon, the story as well, because these guys would be chummy and buddy and brochacho or whatever, but then Adam Cole would touch the AEW title and MJF would snap a look at him and go like, hey man, hold on a minute, what are you doing? That's my title. And it was like, okay, at the end of the day, it's still all about this title. It's all about, this rivalry. And now we see those little bits of moments where they let their guard down, that it's obvious that these guys still cannot stand each other and that someone's playing somebody and someone will get played at All In. That was my thought. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know. This is absolutely no disrespect to you or anything you just said, but I zoned out because I don't even give a shit where this story's going.
Well, I'm saying though, I don't care either, because I thought the story was to All In.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, someone's going to turn on somebody. Someone is going to switch to say, now it's over. After All In, this buddy, chummy brochacho, which is over the top on purpose to get people to kind of say, okay, these guys are being so over the top that it's clear they're fake nice to each other. They don't actually like each other. They're going to destroy each other at All In. Max is going to beat Adam Cole into a bloody pulp or whatever and take his title back, or Cole's going to turn on him with the help of Roderick Strong or whatever. And then none of that happened at All In. At All In, Roderick Strong came out and you're thinking, okay, here we go. And then no, none of that happened. And then Max did his, if the title means that much to you, just take it. I don't want it. And it was like, okay, well now I've lost I don't know what the fuck this is anymore. And we went on the All In instant reaction and said, like, I was like, okay, well now I don't fucking know anymore. And I know less every single week now. I know so much less every single week now when we're still being over the top. Now I'm like you. I'm like, I don't know what you're trying to prove, buddy, but like, you proved it up to All In. You proved that you could get that over. We're good now. We tap out. We're good. Let's move on to some other stuff. Let's have a real story. Let's get back to pro wrestling. But now it's apparently become an addiction to, get tofu over, which is not over, by the way. People do not like chanting tofu at all. And you can do these things where you come out and you say something, you hold the microphone up, and then fans, you say it. Great. your LA Knight. Your LI Knight is what I want to call him for Long Island Knight at this point. Like, that's what he is at this point. And it's like, okay, cool. I guess this is fun and interesting and unique for you, but I don't know. It seems really lazy and really beneath you and kind of like not this guy is so fucking talented. He's 27. He's been the world champion for a year. He did all this. I mean, he is the top guy in this company, and he built himself up from the ground up. He's one of the smartest, most learned, most studied wrestlers I've ever seen in my entire life. And this is where we're at with this. It's like, all right, I'm done.
This is what he likes. This is what he likes.
Yeah, well,
this is who he is, and this is what he likes. And Tony Khan obviously likes it, or Tony Khan is just scared to confront him, and he likes that that it gets good live reactions and does these cute little quarter-hour numbers, which aren't blowing doors off by any means. And I don't know. It's the bigger problem to me is it's permeating the entire company, just like I said it would, just like I predicted in the spring. Everybody told me I was wrong. Everybody told me I was out of my mind. Everyone told me I was overreacting. This is now a Subtlety Hammer company. This is what they are, a Subtlety Hammer promotion.
Mm-hmm.
Mid-South Tony's dead. This is a Subtlety Hammer promotion, just like the other place. Something silly or zany gets over on TV. They lean super hard into it, whether it's the brochacho nonsense, these terribly unfunny pre-tapes. I would like to know, and I know people listen to this who are in the room, I'd like to know from any of these grown adult men in the room running this show, who thinks any of these pre-tapes are funny?
Right, who's slapping their knee at Adam Cole having trouble lifting a couch and making a
Talk
funny face?
me through what the joke is.
Right.
What's the punchline? Why do you think this stuff is funny? Because when you look online, the only people who react to this are the crying face emoji crowd. And maybe that's the idea, to attract a different kind of demographic, a less sophisticated fan. I hate to sound, like a gatekeeper or uppity or whatever term you want to use to describe, but maybe that's the idea, is to try to attract a less sophisticated wrestling fan who, and people will bury me for this, but I don't care. I get buried for everything. Maybe that's the idea, to attract the crossover WWE fans.
Why would that person not just watch WWE though?
Who else would? But I agree. Look. My point here is, we're seeing more of this now, like with Timeless Tony. She did something that was mildly amusing, and they're leaning so far into it that now she's a total NXT caricature, right? You're going to see that giraffe on TV. I guarantee you.
Oh, my God, Matt Taven's giraffe. They showed that giraffe twice. He's stroking it, looking at the camera. That fucking giraffe, you get ready for that thing. That thing is going to be everywhere. Yeah. There's going to be a shirt about it soon.
Roderick Strong has like this crackly, whiny-sounding voice. So now what do we get on TV every week? Adam! And who does that appeal to? It appeals to idiots.
Right. He went from guy in a neck brace to now he's like a full-blown
caricature.
He can't walk. He's in a hospital gown, and it's like,
he's wearing a hospital gown while not in a hospital. This is just low level.
God. Who wants this shit? Fuck off.
It's low level. It's low level, low brow WWE style sports entertainment. That's what it is. And that's what this promotion, it's permeating more and more into AEW. And the problem is, it's like I said in the spring and what I tried to warn people about. Once you go down this road and some of this stuff starts getting over, every single person in the back who's not getting TV time, who's not happy with their push, they go home at night, their head hits the pillow, and they're thinking about, what kind of wacky, zany character can I come up with? Because this is what gets on TV now. This is what gets over. Tony Storm is working the main event on Dynamite. Tony Storm gets segments every week. Roderick Strong is doing his gimmick on TV every week. The Brochachos is the top story in the. This is how it happens. And this is all I was trying to explain to people months and months ago. And the more Tony Khan allows this stuff to be honest, look, the floodgates are open. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. Okay. And there's going to be more and more. This is a Subtlety Hammer promotion now. Longtime listeners know what I mean when I say that.
Oh, at this point, the next time
AEW Subtlety Hammer now.
Oh, for sure. The next time Daniel Garcia comes out, he needs to do his dance like the entire time. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
Walk down the ramp doing the dance. The bell rings, he does the dance. Instead of doing it once or twice a match, he's just going to do it every second of the match.
Yeah, and the fact, and this is not even a referendum on their future, the future of the company or anything like that. Maybe they'll be successful going down this path. My problem with it is, I am I am almost entirely lost hope that this is going to be an alternative
Oh, that
to
we're
what
done.
the WWE was offering on a post for 2 decades, because they're so similar in so many ways now in the way that they're presenting their product. So, look, they're going to get a big television deal. I'm sure the attendance will turn around at some point. Um, and they're going to be fine. The pay-per-views are still great. We still have those. You just got to ignore MJF shit, and the pay-per-views are great.
Yeah, they keep throwing MJF bullshit in the first match of the pay-per-view and then have 2-3 hours afterwards of just incredible stuff. That'll work for sure. But yeah.
Yeah, but the problem here is we're no longer this rebellious alternative to what the standard in American television wrestling is. We're just more and more just like that place.
Well, I used to come on this show and I would say that AEW, for better or for worse, in my mind better, but for some people maybe worse or whatever, is a pro wrestling company. And we haven't had a pro wrestling company in this country in decades, probably 3 decades. Because WCW
I can't confidently call it a pro wrestling.
It's not a pro wrestling company anymore. And that's whatever. Like, it's okay. But it's more.
What they've chosen this, and it's deliberate. And the reason I believe is they're shook by the bloodline and the success that WWE had earlier this year, turning around their house show business and their ratings and their business. And they feel like in order to appeal to WWE fans, they have to do more things. And you have a guy like MJF, who this is his preferred style of wrestling, and he's the top guy, and he's going to do what he wants, and no one's going to stop him. And as long as he's producing these halfway decent quarter hours, he's got the argument to back it up. And for people who don't like this stuff like us, the only way you're going to see it stop is if the live crowd stop responding to it. If he stops getting those pops, if people stop participating in his crowd participation nonsense, then maybe you have a hope that, that someone can turn around and say, hey, look, man, this stuff isn't working. But it's working for the live crowds. He's doing his decent little quarter hours. And, there's going to be no end in sight. This is his vision. He's the world champion. He's the top star in the company. And as I've been saying to people for months and months, he is the most powerful force in the company. And he was the most powerful force in the company even when Punk was there. Everyone thought it was Punk. It was not. It was Max. Max is the most powerful force in that company. Go ask anybody in it. Because I do. He's the most powerful force in that company. So that's why this stuff isn't going to stop until he decides he doesn't want to do it anymore. And it's going to continue to permeate the company in other ways. So if you don't like it, I don't know. You're beat. You're like us and you're beat. Welcome to the losing team. I've been on it for years.
Right. We're there again. For a minute, it felt like we might win. We might get a victory. Maybe we're not going to win the war, but maybe we'll win some battles. But we've lost the battles. We lost the wars. It's over. Yeah.
Tony was the best and last chance.
Oh, you don't think there's going to be another billionaire who came up on the message boards? That's, no, come on. There's got to be another one out there.
And people again say we're overreacting, and they'll say, but listen, I've been saying this for months that this day was coming. It is what it is.
That's fine. It is. Yeah. Now I know where we stand. Like I like you said, I thought that we were going to get this rebellious alternative that was unabashedly pro wrestling, and it's not. It's another sports entertainment company, and it'll go right in line with mid-90s WCW, which slowly found its way into just becoming sports entertainment. It'll go where TNA did when it slowly just became sports entertainment as well. And yeah, now AEW's another one of those long lines of upstart U.S. companies that maybe from time to time do stuff unique, but for the most part are just another sports entertainment company chasing the big giant in the broom. So yeah.
It's Lazy Max, Dollar Store Dwayne. He's doing this
L.I. Knight. I'm doing L.I. Knight is the one I'm picking. So
it just Dollar Store acts. 2002 The Rock routine.
No, well, worse. No, 2002 Rock. At least he is. Remember when Rock came back against John Cena and he clearly didn't have his fastball anymore and he just started calling John Cena like a kung pao bitch and stuff. And it's like, what are you talking about? Yeah. He was just saying the Fruity Pebbles and kung pao bitch and all this stuff. It's like, what are you doing? Like, what does that do with anything?
I felt bad for MJF after the beatdown when he was like, he's like growling into the mic. He's like, "You're on, tofu." He still had to shoehorn in the tofu. Like, he just came off like a complete dork. Like, Jay White came off so much cooler than him. And, who's the babyface here? And it's, but it's I believe this is strategic, and I think Tony's allowing them to lean into this. You have people in the room who like this kind of shit too, and this is what MJF wants to do, so that's what Max is going to do. Nobody's going to stop him. So just settle in.
Yeah,
it ain't going anywhere. It's this is what this company is now. This is what this promotion is now. I want to be wrong, but I feel like there's going to be more of this, not less of it.
Right, we're too far gone, I think, now. Like I said, if at All In, if MJF, stuck his hand out to Adam Cole and shook it and then beat his ass down and bloodied him up and destroyed him and kind of laughed and said, "You fool, you trusted the devil," or whatever. Or Adam Cole does the exact same thing where he says, "Max, you idiot, I was never your friend. I would never wanted to be your friend," like that, all that sort of stuff. And he's, Roderick helps him win the title and they beat him down, they're bloodied or whatever. Then I'm like, all right, cool. When all that, what we had, all the brochacho, the double clothesline, all that bullshit, the fucking trampoline park and the Chinese food hot owie, all that shit was all just for the end of, okay, these guys are going to turn on each other or whatever. We've gone past that point. We're too far gone now. Because now what's he going to do? Is he going to, in 2 months, say, I was all joking. I was all a joke and you all played it. It's like, you did it for 9 months, man. Like, we can't, I'm not.
I don't know. I don't even think about this stuff because I am so.
Well, it's past it. Now like, there isn't thought to it. Now I know there is.
There's this whole thing where there's a lot of people who think that Adam Cole isn't really injured, and I never really considered it because I don't care. Like, I've never thought about, oh yeah, maybe this is a worked injury, but it's like
it's too long. They've done it too long, and it's.
I haven't ever considered it. I just don't give a shit whether Adam Cole is faking his leg injury or not, or I don't care.
Well, and like you said, it's not like it's this one thing on the entire show that's completely different than everything else. Like people in the note of chat room are bringing up great points. Yeah. The JES, their whole shtick was that they were sports entertainers. Andrew Rich brought up the same thing. Remember that? It was not that long ago.
But their whole shtick was mocking it.
Yes. But the shtick was like, hey, here are sports entertainers, and we are sports entertainers or whatever. And the idea was, look at these fucking goofballs doing this sports entertainment bullshit on this pro wrestling show. And that was the heat. Was these sports entertainers. And Daniel Garcia, people telling him, hey, be a wrestler. And he goes, no, I'm a sports entertainer. And everyone went, boo. I thought that's what this company was. And now it's like you said, there's not only the MJF and Adam Cole stuff. If it was just them isolated in their own little world, you might be able to still play off this. All right, these are just these weirdos doing their own weird dumb thing or whatever. But like you said, now you got Tony Storm being a 1940s film noir starlet or doing some Sunset Boulevard bullshit, and it's like, all right, and it's going to continue. Like you said, it's not going to just be Max and Adam. Now Roddy's in there. Now the Kingdom are in there. Now Tony's in that universe or whatever of this, just whatever the
anything that mildly is amusing will be leaned into with the subtlety.
It's it's becoming a comedy. Yes. Program in a lot of ways.
It's exactly what it is. And that's not to say that they're not still going to have great matches and great pay-per-views. All of that will continue, but you're going to have to deal with this bullshit too.
It's a variety. It's now a variety show. The classic, we have something for everybody. What Vince McMahon would always say, and it's like, all right. Well,
when the original concept here was that we were going to be an alternative and be different,
right?
And now we are more alike with them than we have been in a very long time,
and less successful at the gates and in the ratings. So. All right,
the gap keeps getting closed in terms of how different these two promotions are. And, and yes, like, as you just said, there's times in their history where they were far more successful than they are now in terms of attendance and television ratings and those sorts of things. And there was way less of this stuff. And that, some people will say, oh, well, they've always had elements of this. Yes, they have, but that's disingenuous and you're missing the point. It wasn't, we've woven into the fabric of you get what I'm saying here. This is the top program in the company.
Right. Matt Hardy coming out with the fucking drone one time does not equal 9 months.
And by the way, we buried that.
Yeah, that shit sucks, by the way, too. The Mimosa Mayhem match, go listen to that Instant Reaction Live if you want to see what we thought of that match or whatever. Yeah.
If your argument is AEW has always done this sort of stuff, my counter would be yes, and I think it has always sucked. So I don't, that's not, you're not scoring a point.
Right. But ultimately it was one little thing, and maybe it was the small thing on a larger show, or it didn't involve the main event, or it didn't involve the world title. This still involves the world title, which is a complete fucking afterthought. I mentioned it at Wrestle Dream. I can't even put into words how much of an afterthought the AEW World Title is to this entire show. and to, I mean, we got a little bit here with Jay White and MJF. That was kind of what that promo was about or whatever. And we needed that so badly because you forget at times that this guy's the fucking champion because it seems like the least important title to him. It seems like the tag team title, the ROH tag team titles are more important to the character of MJF. And it's just, yeah, let's talk about it this, coming up this week. Joe, I don't know if they're going to announce it anytime soon. They didn't announce it on Dynamite, but I don't see an AEW World Title match on this Title Tuesday. I'm glad you brought that up.
Well,
it's Title Tuesday, and we got the AEW Women's Title, we got the AEW International Title,
kinds of titles.
We got the number one contendership for the TNT title. We got titles up the wazoo here on this Title Tuesday show. But I'm looking through my notes, and I don't see it.
Well,
I don't see the world title, Joe.
You would think that the world champion and locker room leader and self-professed best guy in the locker room and good ratings getter MJF would be leading the charge next week.
Really? Yeah. Well, a lot of the top dudes. A lot of top dudes.
You would think he'd be leading the charge and going against NXT. And you would think that he would be knocking on Tony Khan's door and demanding to be put in the first quarter hour, the top of the hour in the main event. Tony, this is what I want you to do. I'm MJF. I am the good ratings getter. I am the man. He tells anyone who will listen.
He's the world champ too. He's the world champ.
He's the world champ. He's supposedly the top guy. He tells anyone who will listen how great his quarter hours are. Hey, Max, this stuff kind of sucks. Oh, but the quarter hours. Max, this stuff stinks. Oh, but the crowds pop. Okay, great. So I assume you're pounding down Tony Khan's door and demanding to be put in all the key quarter hours next week. In fact, I'm sure that MJF is telling Tony Khan, Tony, this is what we're going to do next week. We're going to keep an eye on NXT. And when John Cena's coming up, that's when I want you to put me on TV. Because I get the ratings. I get the big quarter hours. When they're going to put Cody out there, that's when I want to be out there. Put me against Cody. Put me against John Cena. Because I'm MJF and I'm the world champion and I'm better than you. And I am the good ratings getter.
Shit.
And I pop all these phenomenal quarter hours. Rich, is he advertised for the show?
He's not advertised for the show. I know MJF of a year ago sounds like the type of guy you're describing there. And no, he is not announced for it. You got Jon Moxley, who kind of the heart and soul, the beating heart of AEW. He's there. Chris Jericho, the day one guy, the guy that really put them on the map, the stamp of approval that they needed. Obviously, you have the Bucks and Omega. They're not listed on the show yet either. I don't know if they're going to get involved in anything, but I think Jericho and Moxley are two guys that you have to. If you're going all hands on deck for this Title Tuesday, you got to have Moxley, you got to have Jericho, Hangman Page, and the guy you got to have in there. So you got Hangman Page versus Jay White. You have Powerhouse Hobbs versus Chris Jericho. You got Ray Phoenix and Jon Moxley for the AEW International Championship. You got Bryan Danielson, obviously one of the best wrestlers ever, against Swerve Strickland, one of the hottest wrestlers in the company. They're going to have a match to be the number one contender for the TNT title. Only the TNT title for them, but that's fine. Adam Copeland, new signee. You pay big bucks. You pay multiple millions of dollars to bring this guy in. He's going to be against Luchasaurus. Big time match there. Hikaru Shida.
Telling me.
And Saraya for the AEW Women's title. Paige.
What you're telling me is it sounds like all hands on deck.
Feels like most hands on deck, yeah.
Where's the world champion?
Well, what is interesting about the people that I all mentioned there is there's not a whole lot of bullshit in these guys, and that might be. I wonder if that is by design of, hey, we're going up against NXT, which tends to be pretty heavy on bullshit in a lot of ways. We're going to have Phoenix versus Moxley. What are you going to get out of that match? Two guys are going to go out there and kill one another, have a great match. Swerve Strickland versus Bryan Danielson. There's going to be no shtick in that match. Those guys are going to go out there and whoop each other's ass and have a great match. Powerhouse Hobbs and Chris Jericho. Hobbs is probably going to I would assume Hobbs is going to take Jericho to the woodshed, and maybe Jericho pulls out a win at the end or whatever, but you're trying to get Powerhouse Hobbs over as the next big muscle of the Don Callis family or whatever. Jay White and Hangman Page. Those guys are going to go out there and go back and forth and beat the hell out of one another. Saraya and Hikaru Shida. I yes, Saraya is in the Outcast and all that sort of stuff. I tend to believe that that's going to be pretty non-bullshit. And actually, I wouldn't be surprised if Hikaru Shida wins and wins back the title. I don't know if that's exactly the direction they're going to go, but not a lot of bullshit. And then Adam Copeland and Luchasaurus. So you might get some Christian shenanigans there, but I feel like they're going to try to showcase Adam Copeland and show what he can do in terms of in ring and in what he's going to do in AEW. There's no shtick, there's no bullshit, there's no wink wink nudge nudge in any of those matches. Those are professional wrestling matches that they're countering NXT with, but no MJF.
No, I disagree. I think if anything's by design here, it's that MJF wants no part of this. That's what I think.
Well, he might,
if you want me to be honest.
No, you might be right, but I think also, I don't know if it's AEW, I don't know if it's him. They probably understand that. I don't know. I don't know if they think that, hey, let's just make this a full-on professional wrestling show because that's our best chance of beating these guys in the ratings this week.
No, I think if it were up to Tony Khan, MJF would be wrestling on the show. That's what I think.
Probably.
That's what I think.
No, you're probably right.
I think.
I mean, he is very conspicuous by his absence. Maybe we'll get a pre-tape. Maybe we'll hear from MJF or whatever. They're going
to do something on Collision, and he's going to be on the show in some form. Okay, we know that. Or actually, I assume that. If he's not on the show at all, I have to say that is one of the most deliberately cowardly things I've seen.
That's a Hulk Hogan style thing where I'm taking a vacation, brother.
This is MJ Hogan. It's right. MJ Hogan at
right.
this point. But I assume they're going to shoot some kind of angle on Collision or something, or they're going to advertise some kind of MJF segment. We'll hear from MJF or something late in the game, and maybe that's the strategy. Hold off the MJF announcement until sometime next week or after Collision or, whatever the case may be. All I'm saying is this is a guy who can't wait to tell you how great his quarter hours are. Why isn't he knocking down Tony Khan's door to be all over the show? Why isn't he demanding a match? Why isn't he out to prove that he's going to beat the surging NXT show this Tuesday? Why is there no trace of him yet on this show when he's the first guy to tell everybody how great his quarter hours are and how his flavor of ice cream is successful and a winner? And listen to the crowds and look at my quarter hours. You can't find this guy with a search party on the most important show they're going to do all year, from a public perception standpoint and everything else. I'm sorry, it looks like he's ducking it. That's what it looks like. Is he ducking it? I don't know, but that's sure what it looks like.
He's very conspicuous by his absence. To grab a term from Vince McMahon, conspicuous by his absence. Yeah, it is pretty glaring.
It's totally bizarre.
It's Title Tuesday. Again, like I said, there's a Title Tuesday and the world champion isn't anywhere to be seen. That, to me,
self-professed biggest ratings draw in the company.
Mm-hmm.
Who will tell anyone who will listen? Well, where are you here when they need you the most? Ducking and diving? What are we doing? I don't know. It's weird to me. So we'll see. I'm sure he'll end up in the show in some capacity, and I'm sure his quarter hour will do very well.